So today our objectives are learning a little more about the linear equation form, which is y equals mx plus b, and finally identifying what m is. And m is slope. So we're going to learn about the significance of the slope of a line. So the first thing we need to know about m is that there is a formula for m, and we can always solve for m. Now, m is slope. And when I say slope, I mean the grade at which your linear equation, the line in your graph, is positioned in. It's kind of odd to think about, but when you have a line, the line is always straight. The slope is what tells us what angle the line is projected at. And now there's a few things that we need to know in order to discover that angle. We need to know the distance between y, or the change between two y values. And we also need to know the change between the x values. And the way we do that is we have two coordinate points. We have coordinate point 1, and that can be written as x1, comma y1. And we have coordinate point 2, which can be written as x2, comma y2. Now, I'm just using these subscripts. The subscript is the small number over here. I'm using that to tell the difference between my first coordinate point and my second coordinate point. And that's important because the order in which the coordinate points appear has to be consistent, or you will not find the correct m. So when I say the change in y, what I mean is y2 minus y1 over the change in x, x2 minus x1. And this is the formula for slope. Some people like to say rise over run. And that just tells us that the rise is the vertical change, which is represented by our variable y, and the run is our horizontal change, which is represented by the variable x. So all of these pieces are going to start to come together. That's why in class, those equations that we were looking at, we couldn't quite find the m value all the time. We need the slope, and you didn't have this formula to calculate it. So I was trying to get you to experiment a little bit and discover that formula as you go. So today's happy, fun Wednesday activity was to try and build a staircase between two coordinate points. Now that we know that we're dealing with slope and m, it makes more sense that we would need a staircase because that talks about the change between the x and the y value. So one of the first points on your worksheet that you had was coordinate point 2, comma 2, which means 2x and 2y. So you'd put that right there. And the second coordinate point that goes with that problem is 5, 11, which means 5x and 11y. And that would be plotted right here. Now, the trick that I showed a few of you in class is that if you draw a line from the first point to the second point, you're easily able to identify where the corners of the steps on your staircase will occur. Now, there's one right here, there's one right here, and that's just wherever the line intersects a grid point, really, is where is the distance going up and the distance going horizontally, intersecting a grid line in our graph. Once we have those points, we can fill in with our staircase. So the staircase will go only vertically and horizontally, vertically and horizontally, vertically and horizontally. When we talk about slope, we talk about the change in x and the change in y. Well, if my coordinate point, my first coordinate point is 2, 2, and my second coordinate point is 5, 11, when I write my equation for slope, m will be equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So 11 minus 2 is 9. That goes over 5 minus 2, which is 3. 9 over 3 simplifies to just the number 3. If I were to write an equation for this line, I would write y is equal to 3x. And now I have to kind of think about my b value, right? I have plus or minus b is still here. An easy way to find that is to plug in one of your coordinate points for both the x value and the y value. That's going to tell us that's going to give us some values for those variables, and then we can just solve for b, because that will be the only variable left in our equation. But that information is really for another lesson. So we used the m equation, the slope equation, to find our m value, and we found a new piece of a linear equation. The other way you can find your m value is to really think about the rise over the run. And you can do that just within one stair, basically. So for our rise, we have 1, 2, 3. Over the run of 1. We just use one step. But we still have 3 over 1, which gives us a whole number of 3, which is the same as when we used the slope formula. So really what we want to do is think about rise over run when it is convenient for us, when we can find the staircase easily. And when we can't find the staircase easily, as long as we have 2 coordinate points, we can use the slope formula in order to solve for m. So that's all the information I want to give you about slope for today. I hope that that helped and you're not as frustrated when we try to solve linear equations. For now, take a look, make sure these notes are complete, make sure you understand slope. If you want some more online resources, just shoot me an email. Thanks.